When I asked my daughter-in-law with a smile, "So, when is the wedding?" I expected laughter, teasing, or maybe a shy answer. But instead, she lowered her eyes and whispered the 6 words that shattered my heart into pieces: "We got married yesterday." For a moment, the world stopped. My breath froze in my throat. And in that silence, I realized something was terribly, painfully wrong, something nobody had told me, something everyone thought I was too old, too weak, or too unimportant to know. But the truth has a way of finding you, even if it breaks you first. The day had started like any other, with the soft clinking of teacups and the quiet hum of morning birds outside my window. As a mother, especially one who had raised her only son alone after losing her husband, my mornings always began with silent prayers for his happiness. He was my pride, my reason to stay strong, my final blessing from life. When he told me he wanted to introduce me to someone special, a girl he loved deeply, my heart blossomed with a hope I thought I had lost years ago. I pictured a grand wedding where I would sit in the front row, dressed in my favorite pastel shawl, watching my son take the next step in life with pride. I imagined welcoming the girl warmly, helping her settle into the house, teaching her family traditions, sharing stories over long cups of chai, and feeling the warmth of a daughter I never had. When the doorbell rang that day, I was nervous yet excited. My old hands trembled slightly as I adjusted my dupatta and walked toward the door, practicing my smile so I wouldn't look too emotional. When I opened the door, there she stood, my son's future wife. She had gentle eyes, the kind that carried stories of pain and kindness together. She greeted me softly, respectfully, but there was something hidden behind her smile, something fragile, something that made me pause for a second. I invited her in, talking cheerfully, trying to make her comfortable. After a few minutes, unable to control my curiosity, I finally asked with a playful grin, "So tell me, when is the wedding? We have so much to plan." Your dress, the guests, the decorations, but the smile froze on her face. She took a slow breath, stared down at her hands, and whispered, We got married yesterday." The cup fell from my hand and shattered against the floor, mirroring my heart. For a moment, I could not speak. I felt betrayed, not because my son married without telling me, but because he didn't trust me enough to stand by him, to bless him, to support him. I felt like an outsider in my own family. Tears filled my eyes as I asked, "Why? Why didn't you both tell me? Was I such a burden? Did I do something so wrong that my own son couldn't share the most important moment of his life with me?" The girl looked at me with trembling lips, her voice breaking as she said, "Please don't think that. We wanted to tell you. We tried. But things happened too fast. Your son was scared. And he thought you wouldn't approve of me." Those words hit me harder than the truth of the secret wedding. My son, the child I raised with nothing but love, believed I wouldn't accept the woman he loved. This misunderstanding, this false fear, had stolen a beautiful moment from all of us. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream. But instead, pain softened into something else: pity, worry, and a sense of responsibility. I could see she was scared too, scared of being rejected, scared of being blamed for something that wasn't her fault. I wiped my tears slowly and whispered, "Beta, sit down. Tell me everything. I am old, but my heart still understands." And so began the unraveling of a truth none of us expected. As she sat across from me, her fingers nervously twisting the edge of her dupatta, she began telling me everything that had led to that hurried wedding. Her parents had planned to marry her off to a man she didn't love, someone much older, someone she feared. When my son found out, he panicked. He couldn't let her go through a marriage that would crush her spirit. In desperation, he proposed they marry immediately, before her family forced her into a life she didn't choose. The ceremony was small, rushed, witnessed only by 2 friends. There were no lights, no music, no rituals, just a marriage built on fear and love tangled together. I listened without interrupting. My heart ached not just for my son and his choices, but for her, for this young woman whose life had been shaped by pressure and fear long before she entered my home. I saw the tears she tried to hide, the guilt she carried even though she wasn't to blame. And suddenly, I understood, they didn't exclude me out of disrespect. They excluded me out of fear of losing each other. When my son finally came home that evening, the tension was thick. He entered with hesitation, eyes downcast, expecting anger, disappointment, or silence. But I walked toward him slowly, and before he could speak, I placed my hand gently on his cheek. "You should have told me," I whispered. "Not because I needed a big wedding, but because I needed to stand beside you in the biggest decision of your life." He broke down then, like a child again. He knelt before me, crying into my lap, apologizing over and over. My heart cracked open, not from betrayal anymore, but from overwhelming love. I held him, stroking his hair, whispering that nothing, not even this, could make him lose his place in my heart. When he finally looked up, his eyes red and filled with regret, I said softly, "Go sit with your wife. She needs to feel safe too." Later that night, the three of us sat together for the first time, awkwardly, tentatively, but with honesty. I could see how deeply they cared for each other. I saw their fear begin to fade, replaced slowly by trust. And in that moment, I made a silent decision: if life had pushed them into a rushed marriage, then I would give them what they had lost: a support system, a mother's love, a real home. The first step was simple yet powerful. I took the girl's hand and said, "Beta, you did not get a wedding. But you will get a family. You are not alone. This house is yours now. And I am your mother too." Her tears flowed freely as she leaned into me, finally letting go of the fear she had been carrying for so long. My son watched silently, relief washing over his face. For the first time that day, the heaviness in the room lifted, and for the first time in months, I felt like life had given me a daughter.